Hello again. Let me skip our view. So, yeah, today we continue our journey and we will work and learn more CSS and a bit more HTML. So, even if you think that for that point you already know everything about HTML, I hope that I still have something to tell you about it and you'll learn more new things with HTML. So we will start from semantic tags. Then I'll explain you what is BAM methodology, and we will start finally with CSS Flexbox, and in the end of the lesson we will start our mini project. Yes, please. Because we will. Oh yeah. Super simple. Yeah. So yes. Favorite part, right? So, very short one. 3 main stages in web development. Remember we had that scheme, the graph, 3 elements, 3 steps. Design, wireframing, development, right? Next one is when do we want to wrap our elements? I explained a few rules for that, for wrapping elements. Any? Image? Yeah, so when we have an image, we want to have a wrapper. Next thing. Sorry? Yep. So when we have a few elements with the same type, like a card, we want to group them, like a few cards. We want to group them into separate container. So you want to group elements with the same type. Next one. Come on, you're experts. So, yeah, next thing is when you change the flow, right? If you had a vertical flow from top to bottom, we discussed that, and on some point you want to have a horizontal flow of your elements, you want to create an extra wrapper to put them into different direction. And actually, with that kind of wrappers, you will see how powerful it is with Flexbox and how easy to position all your elements. And one more thing, when you want to have some extra space, create extra spacing for the whole for a bunch of elements. So you create a wrapper and apply like margin or padding for the whole container, and you move a few elements on the same time. Yeah, that was on the previous lesson. Okay, not much for today. So semantic tags. Semantic tags are tags with meaning. So everyone knows tags like div, right? Div, just a container, block element, pretty simple. But we also have a few types kind of div, of containers that you want to wrap your other elements. And we will in a few seconds. So yeah, for most popular, we have header, navigation, section, article, aside, and footer. So all of them basically behaves as divs. The only difference is that when you have the semantic tag, you basically adding some extra meaning to that section on your page. On your opinion, why do we want to have it? Why do we want to have extra meaning for, and why it is so useful for your website? Yeah. 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 Why? So besides that, yeah. Anything else? Also true. Anything else? So the most powerful thing from all of that stuff is that they are very adapted to SEO. What does it mean? Yep. So search engine optimization basically is you're optimizing your platform, app, website for systems like Google, Bing. Do we have any other? Yandex, probably, and stuff, engines like that. So you probably notice that sometimes when you start looking for something on web, we have quite a few pages of results, right? If you go to Google, actually, let's go to Google and try to find something. Let's say google.com, and we look for nice kittens. So we have, as you can see, quite a few pages. First, second. You've probably never been on this place, on the second page, right? Anyone? So this is the idea. So when you build your website or any platform, you want to optimize it in that way that your website will appear on the first page. And if you are lucky and a good developer at what you're doing, your website will be the first on the results. The first one. And that is why semantic text is very important for that reason. You want to have, if you use a header, or if you use a tag like article, you explaining to search engine that this part is article, and here is the main content of the page, right? Because if you use div, search engine will bunch of text and try to figure it out on their own. What does it mean? And what your website is about. But if you use semantic text, you're basically pointing search engines that this part is article. So if you want to know what kind of content do I have here, look for this section on my page. If you look for navigation, basically you use nav tag, you'll see that you're showing that this content in my nav tag is just a navigation, is not a relevant content for the page, it's just a navigation. Use some footer again, so you're just pointing search engines that this is just some not relevant to the content parts of your website. And Google much higher websites with optimized tag names rather than just websites that have divs. So this is very important, and all these tags came together with HTML5. Yeah. So here we have a few more. We have details. We have fig caption, figure, main, mark, and summary, and I have examples for all of them. So open. Give me a second. Curricula. Static frontend. 5. Text. So I'll show you here. All these examples you can find on our GitHub account. So feel free to go there and download it if you haven't done it yet. So examples, text. So can you see it? Can you read it actually? I can make it slightly bigger. So if you have a navigation, every single page has a navigation. So we use nav tag. So we put in navigation there. Everything is related to navigation, use nav tag. Do not use div. Next thing is main. So main, basically defining this is the main area of my website. And here you can find and put quite a few other tags like article. Because you probably, if you go to any website, like a news, let's say The Guardian. If you go to any article, you can see that we have some, I use Brave, so I'm blocking everything. Let me just, as you can see that I have some navigation, we have some ads, we have more ads and more ads, right? And a few more, because it's all about business, not about news. And we have some sidebar, we have some article here, etc. So we want to separate by meaning all these sections. So when they optimizing this website, they will use semantic tags. For sidebar, they will use tag aside. That means that it's not very important content. It's some maybe links to another website pages, etc. If they have article, they use article tag. If they have a navigation, they use navigation. So basically, they highlighting and emphasizing the article part of this website. So when you're looking for something in Google, and search engine will look for the result, it will take in count basically the content from the article section. This is important. And it will rank you higher because your content is more relevant. Does it make sense? Okay, yeah, let me Brave in. So, yeah, I have my article tag. In my article, I have header, so I want where I keep my title and subtitle. I have section, because every single article can have a few sections. Like you can divide like about, history, etc. So you can separate inside the article. You can separate different sections, but it's still article. It's still about the story, but you can visually divide it and semantically divide it. So figure is the tag for images, and figure can have fig caption tag, which is kind of caption for image. So here I have an image, and this text is fig caption. So this is a description of your image, and again, this is semantic tag. So Google will understand that, okay, so this is image, and this is a description for this image. So if somebody look for an image with, I don't know, look for a cat, they will Google will rank it because it will understand that this is a cat. This is the image of the cat, because you just create a relationship between this text and the image. Because you use figure and fig caption. Yeah, and we have footer on my website. We also have details. Details. Yeah, so in the beginning of the footer, I have details. So details is kind of drop down. So we have, I'll show you here. So here, this is details, this one. So you can put, for example, some details about the author, etc. And it has a drop down. So you can have more information about this person. Again, this is semantic text. You can do the same and achieve the same visual outputs and p tags, etc. But this is all about semantic things. Yep. And a site. Do you have a site? Hello from a site. Oh yeah, right. Probably I need to add more styles for this one. But yeah, a site is that sidebar, the Guardian, that I just described. So this column is basically a site tag. Okay, so yeah, and basically the footer where we have some other links, details about website, etc. The stuff that we normally have in footers. Like this, right? As usual. Okay. So here, I'll share these slides after the lecture in our Slack group. So you can go through it again and just read all of that. So here is a description for each tag. And more for other tags. We also have, we also have some tags for emphasize your text on the page. So with M, you know that the HTML4 they had I tag, which makes your text italic, and now they use M, which also visually makes your text italic, but they also they brought a meaning that this is not less important text or something like that. So you bring a meaning, it's not just visual representation of italic text. The same for B. This is the old one, HTML4. It makes your text bold. It will work on your page. And if you use B and strong, you'll have the same output, visual output. But if you use strong, search engines will understand that this text is important, more important than other. So that might be a key keywords for this article or whatever. The same for button and anchor. Don't use anchors if you need a button. You can take an anchor, style it as a button. It will look identical and the same as a button, but don't. Just use buttons. Need a button, use a button tag. Again, form. With the form, if you need to have an input on the page, any input where you provide the data, you need to wrap it into form. Because if you have an input, that means that this is a part of form. So don't wrap it into the div, but wrap it into the form. This is very important. That you will get a few things if you use form. So when if you have form, I have an example, I believe. Store about. Probably not. Let me check. Probably not. So if you have form, and I probably can use a code pen. I'll show you an example. Text. So we have an input, right? Here. Just an input. I can type anything, and I can click, and it does nothing. Because it doesn't understand what to do. So I can wrap into the div. A sec. We don't need JavaScript today. And probably CSS. So placeholder. some text. So if I type anything here and hit enter, it does nothing, just text. But if I wrap it into the form, save it, type, it will try to refresh the page. It will try to send a request to your server. It will do some action. And with JavaScript, you can easily handle your form, because you will have a listener for your form, and when you submit the form, and you will listen on submission, basically on submit. There is a method on submit. You will get all this data from your form, and you can easily get it. If you don't have a form tag, you need to manually pick every single input inside and manipulate it manually. So don't do that. If you have an input, wrap it into the form. I interviewed a few developers this summer, and all of them have like 2-3 years of experience, and only one person used form for inputs, and the rest of them used divs for some reason. So don't be like these developers. Use form. Yeah, so use labels for each input. I'll explain why. So here, let me refresh my page. Reload. Probably, yeah. So let's say you want to describe your form. You want to have some label for it. So for one form, I will use like p tag and call it name. Yep. And for another, I will use label. Sorry, not capital. So to link my label to the input, I need to use ID for my input. And let's call it last name. And for, we're defining this ID name. So I'm saying that this label is for this input. And let's say last name. So now, if I click on my name, it just does nothing. Just text, and this is it. If I click to my label, it selects my input. Right? So even if you navigate with tabs, I press tab now. Ooh. Probably, yeah, it doesn't allow me. Anyway, yeah, so you can select, by clicking on label, you can select this element. Even if I take my input and put it div, so my last name, give a sec, last name, first name. So even that this one is here, still if I click on my last name, it will select it. No matter where your input is on the page, if you click on the label, it will select it. It will focus on this one. So use labels as well. And Fieldset is also basically when you want to group your inputs by type. Let's say you've collecting data like personal data, like first name, last name, maybe date of birth, etc. And you also like skills. You want to have a skills group. So you've grouping them with Fieldset. And it will look on your page by default, of course, because you can redesign it with CSS. But by default, let me actually copy this one. We want to have one more. Fieldset and one more input. Let's say skills. Maybe you will have some checkboxes, etc. But it will create like it will group your elements into separate sections. And if you use, I believe, what is the tag for Fieldset? Give a sec, let me just Fieldset. Legend, right. So if you add legend to each Fieldset, legend, let's say personal data. And for the second one, you'll have personal data, but pro data. Yeah, so you'll have this kind of labels for each section. Again, it's more and more semantic stuff. You can, everything you can achieve with HTML and CSS and like just divs, p's, etc. But you want to be as much semantic as you can just for improved SEO optimization, search engine optimization of your website or any platform. So top index. Does anyone know what is top index? So top index is when you use top, button top on your keyboard, you can switch between different elements on the page. And you can set them different order. You can add, I'll show you all examples in a second, but you can change the order. Let's say, let me actually create some stuff for you. So examples. Let me actually do something here. Beautiful. Okay, so I've removed everything from the page. So I have, we know div, we know emmet now, right? We are super smart and know how to use emmet. So let's say I have anchors, multiply 9 with text inside, with text inside. So we have 8 anchors. Yep. If I hit tab, as you can see, it's highlighting, it's focusing on the element. And by tab, I can switch between them, right? Without moving my mouse. But you can define tab index, and let's say tab index. Actually, tab index. Let's say, so let's say this one, next is 2, 3, 4, 6, 5, 8, and 7. Very random order. So now if I refresh my page, hit tab, we're selecting this one first. Then this one. And you basically jump in the order you defined. So this is for the basically for screen readers and people with disabilities, because you can highlight and simplify navigation across your website for people with disabilities. So you don't want everything on your website, but you want to navigate them through key points. So again, search engines will appreciate that and will rank your website higher and put it to the first page, maybe into the first place. BAM. So BAM is kind of methodology to name your classes. We have some data, so you can go to official page and look for all, basically for the documentation and find out how to use it. But yeah, BAM stands for Block Element Modifier. So yeah, benefits is modularity, reusability, and structure. Hello. Yeah. No worries. So for example, let's say you have a form. You have a default form that you have across the whole website. You have 50 pages, you have 20 forms across your website, and you have some generic stylings for form, basic stuff. But also you can use some extra class to make it looks custom for some specific page. Or let's say you have a Christmas campaign, especially for e-commerce. You have like Christmas campaign and you want temporarily, like for 2 weeks, you want to have Christmas theme, right? And all you can do is create a separate styles in a separate file, and for that period of time, you just toggle this class to the specific form. And you'll redesign completely by one class. So you still have the same form across the website, but this one should be styled differently. So you have your main class, form, and you use your main class, and this part calls modifier. So you modify the original one. Yeah? No? This one is basically nested classes. What does it mean? That if you have a nested element, so input is a child for form, you take the initial class from here, which is form, and use double underscores and give any other name for this element. So in our case, this is form underscore underscore input. And for the next input, we have form underscore underscore submit, because this is submit button. And we have some, maybe again, we can have like 20 different buttons across the website. And you want to have a specific styles for this one. Let's say for the form submit, you have like, you've defined height and width, and you have some like a background, default background color like gray or something like that. Maybe you have some shadow for the button, stuff like that. The basic stuff that will be applicable and will be applied for every single button across the website. But this one should have some extra stylings, and maybe you want to disable it. So you add in that modifier class for this element, right? And you'll have extra classes, but extra stylings. But here, so this is like a way, BAM is a way of naming your classes. So just class, just a class. This class, if you want to change it, the default stylings, you use modifier class. If you have a nested element, you take the base class and with double underscores add the next one, and modifiers again, etc. So this is the whole idea. And if I'm scrolling through your website as a developer, and I see the element, or I'm scrolling HTML or CSS, and I see the element with that kind of class, I understand that this is a child of form. So I don't need to look for where is that element, because looking on the class name, I can understand that this is a child of form element, right? And you have slightly more complicated structure. You have few more levels. You can easily read that, okay, if you have like form, maybe some personal data section, and so you will have like form underscore underscore personal data underscore underscore input. I'll understand that this input is inside personal data, and this personal data is in form element. So it's very easy to read and go through. Yeah, we have more reading. You'll check it at home, the link for that one. Finally, Flexbox. Yeah, who used Flexbox before? Okay. Okay. So, for the Flexbox, basically you probably heard about Flexbox and CSS Grid. So Flexbox, the pattern is content first. So it's based on the content. It tries to fit and build a layout based on the content. For the CSS Grid, it is vice versa. So with CSS Grid, you define the structure, and it tries to fit your content into that structure. So it will that you defined, it tries to fit your content there. And with Flexbox, it just creates the structure based on your content. And the huge advantage of CSS Grid, it is two-dimensional. So you can define that I want to have a container with 4 columns and 5 rows. And when you create a nested element, you say that I want to take the space inside this container from 2nd row to 4th row, and from 2nd column to 3rd column. And you'll pick only, and you put your element inside to this space. We will cover that on the next lesson about CSS Grid. We will, don't be scared about that now. So, here, 2 types of elements. We have flex container and flex item. So flex container is the element that contains flex elements, flex items. And flex item is basically a child of flex container element. Why it's important? Because we have 2 types of CSS properties for these 2 groups. Some of them applicable only for flex container, some of them are applicable only for flex items.
Any common between those 2?
Any?
Common elements?
Yeah, so basically every single element can be flex container and in the same time flex item for some other container. So it can be both. So yeah, let me check actually, because I think that we have. Give me a second. So index. Let me just make it slightly bigger. So to make element a flex container, all you need to do is set display property to flex. From that moment, your element is flex container. So I've made some stylings, like very basic stuff. And I want to show you that that you can apply flex direction. This is the property for the flex container. Flex direction, with it you can change basically the direction of the flow. So let me just find it large direction. Yeah. So here we have, for now we have column, right? By default, if I comment it out, by default it is a row. But you can also explicitly define it and set row. Yep. And you also can have, like, so you can see the order is 1, 2, 3. But you can define reverse. And now we have order 3 to 1 and starts from the end. And the same for column. Column reverse. So now it's 3 to 1 from the end. And if it's just a column, it's just 1, 2, 3. So you can easily move your elements across the whole container that you have. Yeah, let's actually go through two types, because I probably a bit far from what I need to be. So here, for flex container properties, we have flex direction, flex wrap, flex flow, justify content, align items, align content. We will go through each property now, and I'll show you all examples for them. And for flex item, we have order, flex grow, flex shrink, flex basis, flex, and align self. So yeah, as I said, for flex container, flex direction, we have row, row reverse, column, and column reverse. Flex wrap. So for flex wrap, give me a sec, let me close everything. So here, we have 9 elements in the row. By default, it's no wrap. The property value is no wrap. That means that if I add more elements, let's say I want to create few more and refresh my page, it tries to fit all of them into one row. Even if you define widths for each other, it will ignore the widths and will shrink everyone to fit in one row. To fix it, we can just set flex wrap. And now it just automatically creates new rows. Depends on how many elements do we have. Because we're setting that if you have too many elements, just create a new row. This is it. And yeah, you probably guessed that we can set wrap reverse, which will change the order and start from the end. And by the default value is no wrap. Yep. Next up is flex flow. So this is a combination of flex direction and flex wrap. So this is like a shorthand for that. You can write just flex flow and define two values for flex direction and flex wrap. Justify content. This is that you'll like probably the most. So remember how much we've struggled with positioning our navigation for our websites that we've the landing pages that we've built, like manually float left, float right, positioning, etc. Now, if we want, so we have 5 elements on this section, and we want to have them in the center. Let's say. So by default, it is flex start. Nothing changed because it is a default value. Flex end will move them into the end. Easy. Flex center will move them to the center. But we want to have some on the left, some on the right, or maybe we want to split the space equally. So we can use space between that will take the spare space and spread it equally between all of them. Right? One line, no floats, nothing. We might want to have some extra space in left and right. So use space around. It will take this spare space and use it for each element across the page, across the container. We also can have space evenly. So the spacing will be on each side. One line. Finally, we can live. Yeah, so the next stop is aligning. And you can combine, you can align that. So now it's aligned to the top by default. But you might also want to align it to the center. One more line. No more pain. You can't imagine how painful it was. First 4 lessons. So yeah, let's go to, so by default, align items has stretch. So it takes the height from the parent height and stretch it. So this is what we have here. Flex start will align based on the content height inside, it will align to the top. Based on the content height. So because here we have this p tag has some margin, I can inspect. As you can see, we have some margin. That is why it's taller than others. Others don't have it. Okay. So flex end, if you want to have it on the bottom. Flex center, which is in most cases the most useful, and you'll use it every single time. And baseline, it will align to the, give a second. So it will take the center, so it will not move to the center, but it will be up, but on the based on the tallest element to the middle. So because this one is the tallest, it takes the center of this element and align the rest of them into one line. And imagine that you have a baseline, let's say, or let's say it's center. We like center. So we position to the center. And now we're just adding justify content space between 2 lines of code. Right? And the funny thing that this is responsive. See? Just calculate it for you.
It will give the width of the element if you go low enough?
Yeah. So because I hard coded the widths, it will try to fit again. But if you add flex wrap, it will show you. So if I add flex wrap, it just creates new rows for me. Yep. Easy. Finally. Yeah, so align content. You might guess that this is about aligning content inside each element. So let me actually go back to my slides. So justify, align content. Oh yeah, align content. Is basically, so this is again the combination. Yeah, flex, give me a sec. No, it's not a combination, sorry. So aligning content is aligning elements inside. So if I go to my, so by default, it is stretch. This is a default value. Flex start means that the content inside will be aligned to the center, and you'll lose that height, that stretching effect. It will be based on the content. And keep the line. Flex end, the same. Center, you'll align in this to the center. So it keeps the element height. It not shrink the element height. It not change the element height. It just moving elements across vertically. Space between, the same as justify content. And space around. It does the same. So the only one thing that I want to emphasize is that when you change the flow, so let's say by default you have a horizontal flow, right? So your elements going from left to right. But, and if you want to align them horizontally, you just use justify content to put them to the center, left, right, space between, etc. And if you want to align them vertically, you use align content and align it vertically. But if you change the flow and set flex flow to column, they will work, change their meanings. And justify content will be vertical, and align justify content will be vertical, and align content will be horizontal. So they will change how they work, the scene and the logic. Keep that in mind. I can actually show you on the example here. So let's go to the beginning. So here we have, for the first one we have column, right? So actually let me comment it out. So we have row. We want to justify content to the center and align items. No, align content. Items. Sorry, align items to the flex star, flex. Meh. Okay, align content. Let's move them to flex. Let's say flex end. Yeah. So align items, now it's aligned to the end, right? Center and the end. But if I uncomment this line, that means that it will be flex end, so we will get it here. And center is based on the height. There is not enough space, so it takes position vertically to the center. So it will work interchangeable, right? And if you uncomment, it will position back. Yeah? Any questions?
So how would you get it to be in columns in the center?
Okay, so column. If I want to align them to the center vertically, right? Let's say, let me change the container height. Yeah, but I want to change the, actually, or maybe I can comment it out to divs. So now we have,
You can't prove the vertical alignment, right? The column thing.
yeah,
If you keep only one element, you won't see the column.
yeah. So the thing is, because my parent height is not enough for 3 elements, so you can't see it.
Or two, isn't it?
3. That was 3.
No, I mean if you keep 2 instead of 2.
Oh yeah,
You
sure.
can see the actual column.
Yeah. No worries. Right. Sorry. Got you. Yeah, column. And we want to align them. So to the center now means that we justify content doesn't align them horizontally, it aligns them vertically. Because by default, it will align them like that. Yep. So like typical case, you want to align to the center horizontally and align them vertically. So this is how you do center. Yep. Yeah, and if I uncomment my column, we have a column. Yep. Easy, quickly. And based on the wireframing, if you apply and you'll draw all these boxes and use Emmet, you'll build your layout very quickly and position all your elements to the right places very easily and in a few seconds. Maybe minutes, but yeah. First one maybe hours. So yeah, for items, flex item, we have property like order. So by default, it's 0. What does it mean? So let me actually put everything back. Let's scroll. Okay. So yeah, for some reason I haven't put. No, it is here. Give me a second, please. I need to find order. Ooh. For some reason I don't have my stylings here for order. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's do that now. So after my align content, we have order. And here we have class order. And we have a few elements inside. So I want to select my box inside my order. Can you help me with selector? How to do that? So I have order, and I want to select the third child of my order. How to do that? So we have box class inside, right? And
Child, parentheses, and you can insert the value 3.
Yep. exactly. And we set order to, let's say, 1. And we will, let's change actually first one and the third one. How to select the first one? Besides that, if we do this, yep, first child, and the order is 2. So now our first child will go second and third child will go first. And if I, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I refresh my page, we have a new order. We haven't reversed for some reason.
Order is part of our Flexbox learning.
Yes.
Order 2, order 3, order
Yeah. So basically, you rarely use that, but you still need to know that you're able to change the order of separate elements. And the order will start from, so if you take some element and apply some order, it will take from the normal flow, put the elements without order first. So we have 1, 2, 3. It took them and put it first. And now we have order 1 and order 2. If we set order to each, we can move and change position for every single element. Right? You can play with all these numbers at home and check how does it work. Okay, flex grow. So it is a bit tricky because it will try to expand your elements and increase the size of these elements based on the base height and width. So for the box 1, sorry, we have just box. Okay, so it's spread equally for each element. So this is kind of base. You've set in like a base width for the element. For box 1, I'm setting 1. So nothing changed. This is how it was. For box 2, I want to take twice as base width. So now it's wider than others. It will shrink the others, take a new value, and take the twice as that new value. It's not very accurate. So it pretends to be twice, but the whole logic is kind of like you're just improving that, expanding and decrease. So for the box 3, we want to have it 1 as it is, and for box 4, I want to have grow 4 times, and it approximately as twice as this one and 4th of this one, 4 times this one. And yeah, we can set flex 5. And now, new values. So 5 of these, 5 of these, 2.5 of that one, and 125.25 of this one. Yeah. Flex shrink works basically in the same way. So you have flex grow 1, so they are all equal. For box 1, I want to have a half, basically. So it's like a divider. You just divide it by 2, the base size. And you might guess that this will...
What if you say flex grow 1 and then you say flex grow 0.5?
This one.
Yeah, but if you say like
So if you have a digit, not a float, if you have an integer, it will divide. So what will happen if you divide by float?
you divide by 2 and then you say flex grow 1 and then you say flex grow 0.5. Yeah. But if you say if you say like
So if you have a digit, not a float, if you have an integer, it will divide. So what will happen if you divide by float? in mass, it will multiply.
Yeah, but if you grow by half, like here's the previous example.
Yeah, you can grow by half. This is the same number. Yes. Yeah. So basically this, yeah. So this one is kind of grow 2. This shrink 0.5 is grow 2. Right? So your box 2 now is bigger. Mass is very simple. So flex basis, here you can have a fixed width, and based on that you can play, that will be more accurate. The numbers will be more accurate. So if you set flex basis 200 pixels, now based on that you can set, so it will actually, I believe, give a second. Flex basis. No, it's still, so it's keeping, I don't really remember. To be honest, I've never used the flex basis in commercial projects. I've never did. But I believe that you can set for all them are equal, but this one has a fixed width as a basis number, like a basic default. Let me actually try, maybe if you use flex 2, flex grow, and 2. Yep. No. So just take the free space. Okay. What if I use? Yeah. Flex 2. Nah, no, it just use it and try to spread. So yeah, flex basis is basically you fixing your widths for your element separately. But again, yeah, I never use it on commercial fields. So flex combining these two things. So order, flex grow, shrink, basis. Flex, you basically combining that stuff, like grow, shrink, and basis. Or just use none to reset it. Align self, you aligning the element separately from the whole flow. So as you can see, I have an example here. We have, for the block 2, I have center, which is here, flex end, and flex center for the fourth one. So basically, it does the same as align items, but each element separately. So you can set that, because let's say you want to have only one element in the center. So let me comment out these two. You want to have the second element to the center. Remove from the normal flow. I know that for today it's a lot of numbers and a lot of new stuff. But yeah, this is flex. This is the whole flex basically. On daily basis, you will use stuff like align items, flex direction, and justify content, and display flex. Probably this is it. Like 90% of your cases you'll cover with these 4 properties, because you don't need more.
You have like an example where you use align self on an actual website?
No. Nah. I also never use it in commercial fields, because again, as I said, that like 90% of your cases you will cover with 4 commands: display flex, justify content, align items, and flex direction. This is it. Nothing more. We have some basically 20 minutes to start our project. And today we have a next page for the same website, e-commerce, but we have product listing page. So we just continue on the next, on this project. So let me actually find it. We've uploaded all assets to our GitHub, so now you can use it. Sorry for the delay. So here, split right. Keyframes. And actually, let's start it. So we have our design in design folder. And we have tablet, mobile, and desktop. Ooh. Some issue with styling, with fonts. Yeah, anyway. Let's start from header. Can anyone help me to create a header with Emmet? So let me just move this here. So we have 3 groups of elements, right? We already covered that on the previous lesson. We did it with float, but now we can do it with flex and you'll see the difference. So we have some, let's start from basic stuff. We have navigation. Inside navigation, we have our div, which is logo, wrapper, right? That should be in parentheses. And inside there, we have image. Yep. Plus, we have our UL, which is now list. And there, we have allies with item dollar multiply 1 2 3 4 4 plus, sorry, have you missed the previous lesson? Shame on you. Shame. Yeah. Yeah, so this is Emmet. This is what we've covered on the previous. Yeah, please check the slides from the previous lesson. So this is Emmet. You'll see in a second what is it. So, and we have one more UL, which is extra navigation. There we have allies, and inside each ally we have image, and multiplies 3 because we have 3 of them. So this tiny Emmet syntax. So we have a navigation. Inside the navigation we have div with class logo wrapper. Inside this div we have image. We have a sibling for this div, which is navigation UL, an ordered list with class navigation list. Inside we have ally with text, and $ will generate a number dynamically for you. And a sibling with UL, which is UL with class extra navigation, and 3 allies with images inside. The only thing that I forgot probably here to add a class, nav list item. Hit tab. We have everything, right? We have item 1 2 3 4 with all classes. Nice and beautiful. Don't miss lectures. Yeah, so let's add We have images, probably logo. Yep. Probably PNG, logo. And here we have navigation. That is search. Search. Here we have images and user. We have user here. And the last one is images, basket, shopping bag. Beautiful bag. So if you go, we have everything, right? We can't see images because they are white. So let's quickly write CSS for it. So we have navigation. Background color for now is just black. We want to have display flex, right? No, because we use flex. And we want to and space between because we want to move them into different ends. We might want to have some padding and have like 1 em across left, right, top and bottom. And this is it, probably min height, maybe min height, let's say 90 pixels. Yeah, this is min height. Now you can't see text because it's black. Yeah, let's move to the next part. So we have navigation list. Oh, sorry. We have a navigation list, which should be also the display flex, because we want to have them on the one row. Display flex, probably color, we will set to FFF. Padding, we're removing default padding, which is 0, and default, which also should be 0. Oh yeah, and list style, none. Yeah, and we need to set all these guys into one row as well. So extra navigation, come on, extra navigation, pretty much the same. The only thing that I don't need is color. Now we want to align them vertically. All we can do is, for our navigation, we have align items center. Right? Easier than float. So now for these guys, for my navigation, I can play with like padding. So we have list, navigation, list, item. And here we have some padding, 1 em, let's say. Maybe some margin, which is 0, and 1 em, let's say. Yep. And maybe we can change font size to 1.5 em. And text, how to, let's say we need to make them all capitals. How to change it? How to make the text all capital? Capitalize, but no, capitalize will make you change, will make your text start from first letter. But you want to capitalize the whole, to have all capitals. So first, text transform and uppercase. Yep. The only thing that I will recommend you, we're not talking about that here, but if you use any code editors, we are using VS Code, don't type like text transform too long. You write TE, which is text, then TR, then transform. Hit enter. Yep, nice shortcut. And many stuff like that, like transform or font size for C. So don't need to type everything manually. Yeah, text transform, uppercase. Beautiful. Okay, and we want to fix our images. I think that last time we spent like 20 minutes to position everything for navigation. For navbar. Extra navigation. Extra navigation. We have allies there. We have some padding. Come on. Padding. 1M. We want to change image size there because it's too big. And we want to have side height 21.5 M. We will make it responsive. Too small. 2 M's. And still everything is responsive. So if you're moving, you can play with it and have it responsive very quickly. So the next section here, if you can see all these guys, this is basically, even if it visually, you can see this guy, the middle one, is shifted. It's only visually, because basically the real box is here. So it goes up to the lowest point. And you have 1, 2, 3 rows. And let's style one card, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 9, 12 elements. Emmet. So now you have like main tag. Okay, let's do that with Emmet. So inside our main, we have some extra navigation, but we will skip it because I want to show you how to build this grid so you can add it later on your own. So I have main, we have UL, which will card list, and there we have li, which is card list item, and there we have image. So that means that we have div image wrapper, and there we have image, right? Plus we have some details and title and price. So let's say P title plus we have H, because it's bold, so probably H5 or H4 price. And if you wrap all of that, multiply by 12, we probably want to add to the title item $, and for price pound $. We have all cards, right? For our images, let's use the same image. Because we don't want to waste our time for that. image 3. Image 3 JPEG. Yep. So now we want to have for the whole list, we want to put them, so now they are block elements. We want to put them in a one row. So first thing is display flex, and flex will try to fit them in a one row, lone one, but one row. So yeah, we want to set width with 100% of the parent element. Give a sec. And this is it a list? Yeah. So padding 0, margin 0, list style none, and overflow hidden. Yeah, beautiful. I need to have overflow for each card, sorry. So, and we have card, list, item, hidden, and the width for each card should be 33.3%, right? 3.3.3. Or people normally use, they set like for the container, they set a limits like 1200 pixels for desktop, and they have for tablet media queries and media queries for mobile. So let's actually follow this rule, and we have like widths, max widths. With 1200 pixels and width 90%, margin, we have margin already, yeah. Top and bottom 0, left and right auto, because I want to position to the center the whole list. 12 items. So now we want to allow them to create new lines. So here, where I have my list, I want to flex rep. Yep. And for each element here, for each card, I want to have width 400 pixels, because we want to have 3 cards in a row, and the max is 1200s. That means that divide by 3, 400 pixels. Yep. We also will add some padding as well for each item. Padding. Let's say 2M. Now we have padding. And we probably want to change the height for the image. And remember how we position images. Card, list, item. So we want to define height for the image section. Let's say we have 500 pixels. Yep, 500 pixels. And probably we want to have overflow hidden, so now we can see that we're hiding it. And if we inspect the element, so this is our card, this is our image inside, and we want to position this image to the center, right? How do we do that? Can anyone help me with it? Anyone? How to position this image to the center? Somebody asked me in the Slack how to do that. Anyone? So we want to have position our image absolutely, right? Yeah. We want to have top 50%, left 50%, transform, translate. Yep. Correct. Woo. All our images in the same place. Why? Sorry? Yeah, but how to fix it? How to fix it? To which element they are positioned absolutely now? Yes. Yeah, but to change it to the our wrapper, we set position relative, right? All these images now positioned to the center. Yeah. Ooh. I messed up with URL. Which one is it? 678. Right, I missed it. Sorry. Let's be creative too. Right? And we have a grid in a few minutes. And this grid is responsive. Kind of. Because we still have some fixed widths. But we can make it even more responsive by doing that. Setting our not in widths, not in pixels, but in percentage. Right? And now we can even set. It's a bit. I'm not sure that I've explained it to you. How to imitate height. Actually, imitate height. Probably not, but we need to have an extra wrapper for them. Let me actually think. Can we have it without? Yeah, let's do it. I'll show you how to imitate height. So sometimes you want to have, let me give a second. I'll get rid of all of them. Add one more div. I'll call it let's say class card or content wrapper content. So here we have our card list item. So now our display block, display flag should be applied to content wrapper because this element contains all our content. So we want to have display flags for this one. And now here for my we want to set so give a second, padding. I definitely missed something. Oh yeah, we don't have it here. So I set overflow hidden width, this one, and padding bottom. This is a trick. Bottom 33. Basically this value of your width. To have a perfect square, or you can set 50% or like 60%, 66%. to have a rectangular but responsive one. So if I commented out my content, so it's empty divs, right? They are empty. Ooh. Right, I have one card, sorry. Give me a sec, so I need a few more cards. Okay, let's put this back. So, here's my card. If I get rid of it, that's supposed to be... Oh, right, I'm just... As you can see, now we have a rectangular. If I put the same number, 33.333, we have a perfect square. And this square is responsive. So if I resize, actually, let me just add some background color to green. Look at this. If I resize my screen, it is responsive. And now, with our mess, why you actually needed to have an extra wrapper, because this element will be positioned absolute to the parent one, because now the height will be based on the padding bottom. So I'll show you. So here I have position a relative, this one position absolute, top 0, left 0, height 100%, width 100%. Ooh. Right, I forgot to remove my and my wrapper takes the full width, the full height and full width. And probably we can reduce this number to maybe 60 because we don't need that much. Yep. And it is responsive. So we can change the height for our image wrapper. We don't want to hard code it, we just want to take 80% or maybe 70%. And now if you changed it, you're resizing, right? And even more, you can make your image responsive with width 110%. Yeah. Responsive. And yeah, we can add a few more elements now. We still can have some padding left and right. We probably need. So where's the wrapper? Padding. So let's actually use for all sizes. So top 0, left 1M, bottom 60%, right 1M, and left 1M. So we can get rid of our right. So I want to have probably that will not help us because we have position absolute. So because we have position absolute, our padding will not work. So for this one, for the widths, we probably want to have like 90%. right? We want to have some space in left and right. So, and left 5%. Yep. And all of them are responsive. Ooh, it's too late. Yep. So with Flex, we can build responsive layouts very quickly. And as you can see, we spent 30 minutes to build that stuff. And yeah, if you use wireframing, if you use Emmet, you'll wireframe the whole page. You'll spend 10 minutes to write your Emmet Emmet string to convert the whole website into basically your string into the whole website to have the whole structure. Then you can spend maybe 2 hours, maybe hour to build the whole structure, everything put on the right places, and spend maybe 2-3 hours more to tweak every single bit, like to add some shadows, to add some animation. And with animation and shadows, you can play forever. So like hour for wireframing, maybe less, 30 minutes for wireframing and Emmet string, hour to build a basic CSS to have a proper structure, and forever for CSS in shadows and animation. This is it. Yeah, so if you go back to our presentation, as usual, we have some fun stuff. Flexbox Froggy. So if you're bored at home, you can learn CSS, Flexbox by playing this game. So I believe that you know how to position these guys to these leaves. What do I need to set for justify content property? So yeah, play this game. They have quite a few stages. Yeah, they have 24 levels. Some of them are pretty fun. So you want to take these yellows to yellow, green to green, red to red. Have fun. And yeah, on the next lesson, we will have our CSS grid. And we will have basically CSS grids and next page, which is PDP, product details page, for the same project. So feel free to finish this website this page at home. Slack is for your questions. I'm there to help you, and if you have any questions while you're building this stuff, feel free to ask. Happy to help. And yes, this is it. Thanks for today.